Good morning, guys. So today we're going to talk about our equipment and we're going to talk about sanitation. So the first thing we're going to talk about with our equipment is one of the main essential pieces that most massage therapists will use. That is the massage table. Now there's a reason we call it a table and not a bed. Things happen in beds that we don't want to associate with massage, so we call it a table for professionalism. Now when it comes to a table, there's a few different types of tables that most therapists will look at and utilize. So the more popular style of table is going to be what we call a portable table. Other types of tables would be what we call stationary tables. And then under the brand of stationary tables, we could have what we call a hydraulic lift table. They all have their advantages and their disadvantages. Namely, a portable table has the advantage of being able to take it with you and being portable. So for you out-call-based massage therapists who are going to people's homes, this is going to be your best option. Even if you have an in-office a setup there, if you do have a brick-and-mortar establishment, you can still use a portable table in it, and that's fine. But the stationary table, if you're going to have a brick-and-mortar establishment, is going to offer you more stability and security when holding your clients. And then with the hydraulic lift tables, again, you're going to have the stability and support of the stationary tables, but it's going to give you the extra benefit and bonus of being able to mechanically raise and lower the height of your table during your session, whereas these two styles don't, because these tables adjust their height with what we call a tongue and groove system. The tongue and groove system is a system of holes drilled in one part of a leg that slides through a pin and then connects and is tied down to change the height of your table. Now, the portable tables can range in different styles. You can have different types of wood and frames and all that as well, and we'll look at some of the components here in just a second. But the main thing to look at for your portable tables is what we look at for working weight and static weight. So when it comes to your working weight and static weight, your working weight is actually going to be a lot lower than your static weight. Static weight is the weight of how much weight the table at most can handle. If you just rested a sheet of metal straight onto that table, how much weight it could hold before it would just straight up collapse. So the main one we want to look at is the working weight, because that's going to be the most important to us. The working weight is how much weight can be applied to any particular area and force driven into the table before it would collapse. So you want a nice high working weight. My particular preference is to have a working weight around 700 pounds. Now you might find it within the range of 600 to maybe 850 or maybe even a little higher with some tables, but of course the higher working weight capacity you have, usually the heavier your portable table is, and if your portable table is very heavy, it's going to be very annoying to take with you on your out calls. Then, of course, your static weight is going to be very high. It can be in the range of 1,500 and well above and beyond that, maybe even up to 2,500 pounds on some tables if you're getting closer to that 800 working weight poundage there. So some of the other components of your massage tables is to consider the width of your table. This would probably be, aside from the weight capacity of your table, the next most important thing of your table, because one, for the sake of the size of your room, the width is actually going to matter just in a small degree. But typically the width of our massage room, or excuse me, massage table, is usually between 26 inches to 33 inches. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to both. So with the narrow table, we can safely and easily work across and get towards the center of the table without having to lean. While if our table is more wider, we would have to lean a little bit further. As you can see, the angle of my arm is much different just by changing a few inches of the width of the table. Of course, with the wider table, we do have the option that, one, our client is going to rest more comfortably on the table itself, and their arms can stay onto the side without roughly hanging off or falling off. Plus, we'd also be able to get our knee up onto the table so we can kind of negate the fact that we'd have to lean so much further to get to the center of the table in order to reach and get to our client's back. Now, don't just think that because your table is very narrow that you're crapping out of luck, but you can go ahead and get what we call arm shelves that can attach to the sides of your table, which will increase the width for your client's arms to hang onto the side and make them more comfortable, as well as you can also get hanging arm shelves where they can hang them down when they're lying face down and their arms hang below their face. The next thing to consider is the height of your table. Now, like we said, the height of your table won't necessarily matter unless you're extremely short or extremely tall. Usually if you're of an average height, somewhere between 5'2" and 6 feet, you have no issue with the table heights that can be provided with most average tables. And then table height itself, where you want to set your table height, will depend on the body mechanics, which we'll talk about in a later lecture. So for now, we won't worry too much about height, only understanding that our height can vary, and we usually, on our tummy roof systems, usually change in 1-inch increments. So the length of our table is another thing to consider. The length of our table is roughly about 6 feet. Now, if you factor into or account for the headrest can add about a foot extra length of your table. So a 7-foot tall person could comfortably lay face down on your table without hanging off. Now that same person, when they flip over and slide down the table and their head is now on the table and not in the headrest, well, they're going to have some overhang, about a foot's worth of overhang. Get it? Foot. Then consider the frame of your table. The frame of your table, of course, wants to be nice and sturdy. Now, of course, with our stationary tables, they're usually made out of a nice durable wood or metal alloy, and like we said, they don't move. So the portable tables, we want a nice sturdy wood, usually oak, mahogany, or something similar, or high-grade aluminum. Now the aluminum portable tables are going to be a lot more portable, and they're going to be a lot more lightweight, but they typically have a slightly lower working weight capacity, but still high enough to where they're justifiable, and they're relatively cheap. So if you actually do look for one online, you can find one for a good price with some good specifications. Now, consider that the padding of your table is a big factor. So the padding of your table, we typically like to have a nice high-density memory foam. My particular preference is 3-inch high-density memory foam. Now, it's again to your personal preference. We want to have the Goldilocks amount of foam. We don't want too little, we don't want too much. Too little padding will allow our clients, when they lay on the table, to feel the wood of the table underneath them. We don't want that because that's not comfortable. Having too much padding will actually take away from the pressure that we apply into our clients because it'll be absorbed by the padding underneath them. So if we're pressing in, and I'm pressing into my hand, but my client is still sinking into that padding, I'm losing the amount of force that is going into my client. So when it comes to our tables, obviously our tables are covered in its own cloth or fabric. We have that nice, smooth, usually vinyl or PVC fabric. So with that said, this type of fabric, one, is like the skin of our table, and unlike the skin of our body, it does not regenerate. So we don't want to scratch, cut, or damage the skin of our table. So we want to make sure that it is very well protected. So make sure when it's in storage to be covered up well. Make sure that when you're transporting it, it's covered up well. Make sure when it's set up and out on your surface or working area in someone or client's home, make sure that you have some kind of padding or cushion or blanket over it to protect it. And don't put anything on your table that's going to be sharp or abrasive. Especially if your client is going to be clothed and you're doing certain styles of massage that your client doesn't have to disrobe, make sure they take anything out of their pockets that might poke into your table. Now when it comes to cleaning your table, make sure that you use any type of disinfectant that's not going to ruin or tarnish or dissolve the table. So bleach will even do it too, but if you're going to use bleach, you usually dilute it, and you're only going to use bleach so often in sanitation anyways that it shouldn't be too much of a problem if you use it very seldomly. Again, we like to use the Citrus 2 here, so it is a very non-abrasive, usually non-harmful chemical-based product that shouldn't wear your table down too much. Also avoid citrus-based products, as these will eat away at some of the oils on your table and lead to more tarnishing. So another key thing about keeping the padding, or excuse me, the skin of your table well protected is to make sure it's well lubricated. Yes, they do have vinyl lubricants that you can get. So like in your cars, if you have leather seats, you know, they have those little Armor All wipes. So maybe periodically, once a month, you know, give your massage table a good buff to keep that padding good. Another thing to note about your the skin of your table, about the fabric of your table, is that temperature can highly affect it. So make sure, especially if you're doing alcohols and you have your portable table, I would recommend not leaving your portable table in your car. So especially if you live in a place like here in Florida, where it gets very hot, or maybe even somewhere up north where it might be very cold, the temperatures can greatly affect it. So if it gets really hot, if the fabric gets really hot, and you press onto it, it'll then warp and pull and allow the fabric of the table to stretch out and then become brittle. And then vice versa with the cold. If it hardens up and shrivels up and you press into it, it could crack and break. We don't want any of that to happen. So make sure that your table is stored in a climate-controlled environment of usually room temperature, 76 degrees or so. So let's look at some of the other accessory objects and things that we can have in our massage room and focus and featured on our table. So the first thing accompanying our table is the headrest, or face rest, or face cradle, right? So this is an extension of the table that usually sits at the head end of the table, which allows our client's head to rest in it, usually when they're prone or face down, so their face comes in and rests there and is held comfortably. Now keep in mind that the face cradle itself is going to add roughly about a foot extra length to your table, and that the face cradle is only meant to hold about 15 pounds. Now your client's head weighs roughly 12 pounds. So that means there's not much more room for that thing to hold any more weight. So we don't want to put any downward pressure on someone's head while they're in the face cradle, otherwise the face cradle might snap down and unlock, and that's a very scary situation. It has happened to me many times when I was new in beginning my massage, and I've learned from my mistakes. Trust me, it's a very scary experience because you think you just broke your client's neck, and usually they're fine, but you definitely don't want it to happen. So make sure, especially if you're doing any traction on your client's cervical region, that you're pulling straight up and not down into the headrest. We did mention that if you had a very narrow width to your table, that you can get arm shelves to go onto the side of your table to allow your client's arms to rest comfortably at their side, or you can get an arm shelf that hangs underneath the table or headrest itself that allows your client to bring their arms and let them hang like this. Again, another accoutrement that's a necessity would be a bolster for your massage clients. Now there is a difference, a slight difference, and it's a very splitting of hairs difference here, but there is what we call bolsters and supports. Supports are anything that's going to hold your client up or bolster your client. I know you can't use one without interchanging and using the other, but anyway, supports are things that could just be anything, not specifically designed products for massage. Now, a bolster is a specifically designed product for a massage, which means that it's usually coated in the same fabric that your table is made out of. So the most common style or type of massage bolster is usually those rounds, so those cylindrical rounds. So you have that nice cylinder, and then it comes out, and you have that nice little round where your client is then going to rest their ankles or you're going to place that under your knees, depending on which direction and orientation your client is in. Now keep in mind that there are so many bolsters out there, so many types of bolsters. They even have whole body bolster support systems that you can purchase on Amazon or massagewarehouse.com. So definitely go to those websites and look at massage bolsters, and you'll find an endless amount of types and opportunities and ways you can bolster your clients. So feel free to look through that and get some inspiration. Another common bolster I'd say that is important for some population of clients out there is what we call the chest bolster. It looks like this. It comes out, it has like this T shape, narrows down, and then widens back out into a little chest cushion. So this part goes along the collarbones, along your clavicles. Then we have the partition to where the breast can be supported. And then underneath is the rest of the pillow that bolsters up the abdomen. So those are the two common bolsters you might see in the massage world. Another huge piece of equipment for massage therapists is a rolling stool. And I would further say a rolling pneumatic stool. By pneumatic stool, we mean that you can adjust the height with a lever. So those, like those office chairs that you're probably familiar with, that you just sit up on, press the little handle, and it scoots on up, is going to be perfect for you. Now, with the pneumatic stool, I definitely recommend that you do a little shopping. And when it comes to certain aspects of like your massage table, where we said the height was whatever, the height of the stool, the height at which the stool can come up to me, is very important, because I can use my stool as an addition or an extension of my table. So if my table height is here, I'd like my stool to be able to come up to my table height. That way, I can bring my stool right next to the table and rest my client's arm on the stool and work on my client on top of my stool as if it was an extension of my table. It just gives me more room to work with. And I will show you this example when we actually do get into some live demonstration. Now, with stools, there are two types of stools to also keep in mind. We have the flat circular round stools, which is just like a circle, like a circular disc. You know, the pretty common stool, right? But they also have what's called a saddle stool, which looks like a saddle that would be on a horse. And it's personal preference here on the saddle. So technically the saddle stool is more ergonomically friendly. It's going to, support your spine and keep your spine upright more properly. Sure, debatable, because you're only going to spend roughly about 25% of your massage. So in a 50-minute massage, you're looking at about 12 minutes of your massage to be in that stool or in that seated position. So is it really that big of a deal? My problem and my personal preference is I like the flat, the circular round stool, because again, that same reason, I can use it as an extension of my table. It's a little more difficult to rest my client's body on the saddle stool. But check it out, go to the Amazon.com, go to massagewarehouse.com, look at the rolling stools, and you pick and you decide. Another excellent feature to find in a massage room is a table warmer for your table. Now keep in mind that there's so many other nice accoutrements that can accompany your room that we'll talk about, but remember this: the more amenities you have, the more enticing it is to get a massage by you. So we could have two massage therapists. We could have someone who does the world's most amazing massage ever. Then we can have a therapist who does a good massage. On this hand, with the most amazing massage ever, it's just a table with a headrest and a bolster, and maybe, rough 200 thread count sheets. While the massage therapist who, does a decent massage, not as good as the most amazing massage in the world, has nice 1,000 count Egyptian cotton silk sheets, and a table warmer, and a aroma diffuser, and heated lotion, and all these cool little amenities. Well, I might sacrifice on the quality of my massage for the enjoyment of the environment. So remember, the more amenities and the more accoutrements you have, the more enticing it is for your massage and people to return for your massage. Also keep that in mind that might even be more of that spa orientation. You can even probably charge a little bit more. So like we said, the electric table warmer is just like a gigantic heating pad that sits on top of your table. Now, with this in mind, make sure that you keep that covered well. So typically, you get that table warmer, put a plastic or waterproofing cover over it so that bodily fluids can't seep down and get onto the fabric of the table warmer, because you cannot wash the table warmer. And you wouldn't want to have to, excuse me, you wouldn't want to have to replace your table warmer every time it got soiled. That's, you know, the table warmer is pretty cheap, it's $50, but if you're spending $50 every month on a new table warmer, it's a little excessive. So make sure you keep it covered for sanitation purposes, which we'll look at in the next chapter here. Now, for you mobile therapists, remember that your portable tables are usually going to come with a carrying case, but you can also get more elaborate cases that have wheels on them, or you can even get what we call a table cart. This is a literal dolly, like you would have a moving dolly, but for a table. It's a nice little harness, nice little basket that allows your table to be placed into it and secured and supported as you pull and move your table around. So for you mobile therapists, that might be something you probably want to look into. So let's move into the massage linens. Now, like we said, we want to make sure that our table is covered, right? Linens provide much purpose to our massage. Linens, the purpose of draping and providing linens is that it's going to cover and protect our massage equipment, as well as it also protects our client, as well as it also protects us from liability. Making sure our clients are covered and draped and properly covered at all times is very important for professionalism. So when it comes to linens, there's a few different types of linens available to massage therapists. Now, MBLEX standard says that there's cotton, cotton blends, and flannel. I know, flannel, right? I never even seen flannel sheets, and I don't know how comfortable flannel sheets would probably be. Maybe if I live up north and it's really cold, I want some thick flannel sheets to cover my clients, but here in the south, it's hot, and I'm not going to cover my clients with flannel. Now, other types of linens that are not common to the MBLEX, but common to most people out there, are microfiber and percale. Me personally, the microfiber is fine because, you know, it's, one, comfortable, it drapes well, and it's really cheap. Percale is a little bit more expensive, but probably a little bit better than the microfiber. So it's your personal preference on what you would look for in the sheet quality. The key thing about sheets are to make sure that usually we typically go with lighter colors, because stains from the oils won't show as easily on lighter colors as they will darker colors. Also, so that you can sanitize your sheets with bleach periodically, especially when they come into contact with bodily fluids. So in roughly, you should sanitize your sheets at least once a month, even if they haven't been contaminated in a sense. But that's pretty much the gist of your sheets there. And also make sure that the fabric density is thick enough that you can't see through the sheet and actually see the outline of your client and see the skin of your client and see your client's body, because otherwise it defeats the purpose of the drape to cover and protect our client's modesty. So on top of sheets for draping, we can also use towels. Now, it's definitely advantageous in your treatment room to have towels. So in your room, you may even want to have a nice little cabinet. So if we were to have a massage room here, let's say here's my door, right? Here's my door, here's my table, here's the chair where my client's going to sit. I like these little corner cabinets that you can put in the corner here. And I can put hand towels or rolled larger towels for draping, especially if my client's cold. I don't have any more blankets, I can put a towel on them. Towels are also good for cleaning and so many other things. So it's very advantageous to have towels in your massage room to utilize when necessary, right? So let's get into the massage lubricants here. So when it comes to lubricants, we have many options, and it comes down to personal preference of the therapist, personal preference of the client, and then the health considerations of the client as well, and of course even the therapists themselves. So some of the most common types of massage, lubricant is lotion. Lotion usually is a water-based lubricant, and it's just widely available and easy to use, easy to obtain, and usually is most of our lotions and lubricants are what we call hypoallergenic, which usually have ingredients in them that have the least capacity to cause an allergic reaction on our clients. So with that said, make sure that you understand all of the ingredients in your lubricants, because you don't want to have your client have an allergic reaction. So on our intake forms, we usually have a line that asks if they have any allergies and to specify any allergies. And amongst those allergies, if anything is listed on their allergies and it's in our lotion, we should have an alternate for that client to be able to use and make sure that they don't have an allergic reaction. So like we said, with our water-based lubricant or lotion, keep in mind that it's pretty easy to obtain. It's usually very easy to store, usually very easy to clean up, and it works very well. Now we also have what we call oils and gels. Oils and gels are very nice to some clients, and so there's some advantage and disadvantage to it. So your oils and gels are typically derived from tree nuts or other seeds, which means if your client has an allergy to nuts, you shouldn't use oils because it can cause an allergic reaction. So the difference here between oil and lotion is that lotion is water-based and oil is not. So water-based lubricants, when they're on our client's body, the water, the moisture content of it will actually evaporate and make our client cold. So remember that if your treatment room is pretty cold, because we'll talk about what the temperature of our treatment room should be in a little bit. And then on the flip side, oil actually clogs pores and coats the skin, which will actually create insulation and create a nice warming effect to our client. But some people don't like that feeling of greasiness that comes with the use of oil. So be very careful with the oil and how much you apply to the body. And in my sense, a little goes a very long way with oil. With lotion, some of your clients, you might use half a bottle of it on a person. And it just happens. Now another downside to your oils is if it spills, good luck cleaning it up. It is the most annoying thing to clean up. It is so hard to clean up. It is so annoying to clean up. It's almost not even worth it in my opinion. I used to love oils. I used to do a 50-50 mixture of oil and gel. I used the 50-50 mixture because oil by itself is just too thin. But when you add the gel to it, it adds enough viscosity to make it a little more easier to work with. And now I only use lotion because one, it's just easier to obtain, it's easier to store, it's easier to use, and it's easier to clean up, and it just makes life so much more convenient. Now, other types of lubricants out there, we have what we call creams, and we have butters. So creams are going to be a little bit thicker than lotions. Butters are going to be way thicker than creams and lotions. So typically your butters are usually made from shea or coconut and all that. And so with that, consider allergies. So the shea butter, especially, is actually derived from a similar plant that is related to the latex plant. So if your client has a latex allergy, it could be a cross-allergen to use shea butter as your massage lubricant here. Now when it comes to your butters and creams, again, a very little goes a very long way. I'm talking like a dime could probably lubricate your client's entire back, depending on how big they are. A dime to a quarter could be all you need on your client's back, and that'd probably be even too much if it's a quarter. So a little goes a long way with the butters, and usually they're in smaller containers. Also consider that they're so thick, you cannot dispense them from your traditional massage pump, massage dispenser. So with that said, let's get into how we store and dispense our lubricants. So the first thing first, massage lubricants should be stored and dispensed from a contaminant-free container. That means that there is no pathogens, no bacteria, that whatever we are storing it in and the vessel in which we put it in to dispense and use during our massage session is contaminant free. So make sure you wash your lotion bottle very periodically. I can't tell you how many massage therapists I've seen who don't, and that the grooves on the top twist bottle have black grime in it, especially if you look underneath your bottle and at the pump, that little extension of the pump where the lotion comes out of. If you look underneath that pump, there's little grooves under there, and I've seen so much nastiness caked under there. Clean your lotion bottles. Make sure you clean and sanitize them, especially during this dire times of COVID-19. Make sure you clean your bottles. Sanitize, sanitize, sanitize. Make sure that you also store your lubricants in a temperature-controlled environment for the length and lifespan of your lubricants as well. Especially your creams and butters. You know, they can melt at higher temperatures, at warmer temperatures, and you don't want that to happen. Now, the same thing with dispensing your creams and butters, especially your butters. One, your butters are usually going to be in a container, and there's going to be a lot. And like we said, a little goes a long way. So you might only need like that much butter to do the entire massage of your client. So with that in mind, when I did use the butters, is I would get spoons. Now, you could use plastic ones, but I'm a little more eco-friendly, so I used metal spoons that I could just wash. So you take a spoon, and you just take that spoon, and you scoop out the amount of butter that you would need for your massage. And then you just dip and take the butter off of the spoon. So that way you're not massaging on your client, and then you go in and you dip your dirty fingers into the of butter that you're going to use for the next client. That is what we call cross-contamination, which we'll see in the sanitation chapter in a little bit. So again, make sure contaminant-free dispenser. So aside from oils as lubricants, there's also oils for therapeutic purposes. We call those oils that are concentrated, usually from roots or flowers or leaves or whatever, the concentrated essence of some sort of organic material is called an essential oil. It is the essence of something, right? And so essential oils are used in what we call aromatherapy. So I'm sure many of you have heard of aromatherapy, right? You've probably experienced aromatherapy. You probably have many different oils that you use now, right? So there's a few ways that essential oils can be used in the massage setting. So first and foremost, diffused. We can have aromatic use of the massage oils. With that in mind, we want to make sure that we have the client's permission to use those oils, and usually they'll request those oils. And typically your aromatherapies are an upgrade to your service, because we'll talk about the massage room and environment. We want the massage room and environment to be scent neutral, free of all smells, because what one person might find odorly pleasant might find odorly disgusting. So we can diffuse our essential oils into the air and make a nice, soothing, smelling aroma for our clients to breathe in. But we can also use our oils topically. Now, when we use our oils topically, we want to, because these oils are so concentrated, you shouldn't just use oils directly on your client's skin. We want to cut it, as in a sense, with what we call a carrier oil. So typically you'd have like a smaller little bottle that you can put your normal lubricants that you use in, and then put a few drops of your essential oils into, mix up, and then use for your topical work. So that way they get a nice full body massage with the infusion of that essential oil. Now again, be very careful when you're doing this, making sure to monitor your client's skin. If it's reacting to these oils, you want to be very careful, because some oils can react to client's skin. They can have an allergic reaction. And be careful too, some oils can actually react to sunlight. So depending on what the client's going to do for the rest of the day, you might need to tell them, like, hey, you need to wash this off first before you go and you get any exposure to the sun. or anything of that nature. So be very careful and do a lot of research before you start getting into your essential oils. Another way to use essential oils is to ingest them, which as massage therapists we are not allowed to prescribe or recommend anyone to eat anything, and in my personal preference and research with essential oils, it's almost like, why would you want to eat them? Very few essential oils should you eat, especially because, like we said, they're so concentrated. You know, the very sensitive linings of your gastrointestinal tract, you just don't want to expose to those heavy concentrations of oil. So in your book, you'll notice that there are some listed oils that you may like to use, and different types and what they're good for and all that. So some of your commons usually like lavender and stuff like that, but your tea tree oil is actually an antimicrobial. Usually people use that in cleaning products. Usually like cloves and cinnamon are also antiseptic as well. Peppermint's usually very soothing. Rosemary usually stimulates the mind. So, you know, do a little research on your essential oils and what might entice you and excite you and be able to offer for your clients. Now, when it comes to storing and dispensing your essential oils, make sure it's important that you use a glass container, because the essential oils will eat away the plastic of whatever container they're in. So, fun fact, keep thinking that. So, now let's just talk about the massage environment, the massage room. So we did have this nice little drawing here. So first things first, let's talk about how big our massage room is, right? What are the dimensions of our massage room? Now, the minimal standards, as suggested by Susan Salvo, is, let's say we have our massage table. Find my marker. Let's say we have our massage table here. And as we said, the dimensions of our massage table, let's take away the fact of our headrest, right? So we had a 6 foot by roughly 3 foot table. So Susan Salvo says that the minimum amount of space you would want in a massage room is 3 feet of space from any edge of your massage table. So if we take the same numbers here, and we can swap up and use another color. So we have 3 feet here, right? So I'm going to add 3, right? So add 3 more feet here, right? So 3 feet, and then 3 more feet here. That's going to give us a total of 3, 6, and 9 feet in total. So again, let's add 3 feet to the edge of these, of the lengthwise of the table. So we got 3 feet here, 3 feet here. So we have 3, 9, and 12. So the minimum standard size of a massage room is a 9 foot by 12 foot room. The ideal standard for a massage room would be a 12 foot by 12 foot room, which for some people is probably bigger than the bedroom they're sleeping in. So yes, a massage room is a room with a table in it, not a bed, right? Other things that you're going to want to consider having in your massage room, like we said, we can draw that same picture of a massage room. So one, we have our door, right? We have our massage table, right? One, we need a chair for our client to sit in, right? Also, consider having maybe a side desk or a side table for the client to put their jewelry and belongings on as well. And so this can double. It could be a dresser in which you can store your linens in as well. Keep in mind, you also might want to have something over here alongside the wall right next to the chair for hooks so they can hang their clothing. Because especially when clients come in and they have really good garments on, they don't want them just lay on the floor and get all wrinkly. They like to hang them up and have a nice professional. Again, my recommendation is to have that nice little corner cabinet for any towels or whatever, right? Also consider having a shelf onto the side of the room as well. And on that shelf is where I usually put maybe business cards or advertisements. I can put my sound machine. The sound machine is always nice because it goes very well with the music that you're playing in your massage room, which we'll talk about in a second, as well as you can put your clock, right? You're definitely going to need a clock because you need to time your massage, right? Because we, as massage therapists, need to be on time. We're paid by time, so we need to be on time. So the clock could be on the shelf, or you can put it on the wall somewhere in the room, and that's fine, doesn't matter. Now let's talk about the music. So the music in the environment of the massage room is kind of essential, right? We want to create the vibe. So now typically if I'm working in my private practice and I'm not in a spa where I can't control the music, I usually will ask the client, do you have any preferences? You can put on your own music if you want. Just no Marvin Gaye, please. We're not getting any sexual healing up in here. We're keeping it professional. So I can usually ask the client their personal preference on music, and I usually ask them if they had something more calming and relaxing. But if they wanted to listen to death metal, sure, we can roll with it. But typically, your massage music in your environment should be a standard pace, usually around what we say 60 beats per minute. So as we all know, music has tempo, usually has a time signature. 60 beats per minute is one beat, one bar every second. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The 60 beats per minute, so roughly would say 60 to 80 beats per minute. Because 60 to 80 beats per minute typically mimics the rhythm or rate of your heart. So it kind of syncs with that circadian rhythm to create a more relaxing effect. So accompany the nice tranquil music with the sound machine of playing some ocean waves, and they're just listening to this very zen music near the beach and hearing these seagulls chirping. They're going to pass out like that. So creating that nice, relaxing environment for them. Some other things to consider having in your room, like we said, make sure it's fragrant-free because not everyone might like the fragrances in your rooms. Also consider some safety things for your client. So make sure, one, that from the doorway here, there is a straight path for the client to go and sit down on their chair. And then there's just a straight path from the chair onto the table. I don't want any clutter in the way for my client to trip on, have a slip and fall, and then sue me over it. We want to have a barrier-free facility. Another thing is, with our rolling stool, make sure that your rolling stool, I usually put it in the opposite corner of the client's chair so that they don't have any instance of using it because the rolling chair isn't stable, and I don't want my client to try and sit down on it and then whoop, and then they're gone and then they fall, right? So make sure your rolling stool is off in the corner, out of access for the client, because we don't want our clients to sit on our rolling stools. So make sure that's far out of the way. Also consider that the door, right? The door, down to the minute details of the handle on the door. The best handle for your door is going to be those lever style handles that has a little offshoot, right? Why? Because you try opening a round doorknob with greasy, lotiony hands. It's not going to work. So, for one, sanitation and safety and ease, get yourself a lever-style handle to go on your door. Well, guys, I think that's going to be it for the equipment in our massage room. Just a brief recap. Like we said, the most essential piece of equipment massage therapists use is a portable massage table. Again, we have many options when it comes to table. Make sure that you have a face cradle for your massage table. Also consider having a round bolster to prop your clients on. Then consider the sheets in which you're going to cover your table with. Typically, like we said, we have cotton blends, and flannel. But Mr. Rob's personal favorite, the microfiber, or if you want to go a little more upscale, get that percale. And then, after we have our linens, we want to make sure that we can have any other accessories, such as a table warmer, sound machine, aroma diffuser, or any other cool little neat thing in there. But make sure that if you do have your massage table warmer, that you keep it covered with some sort of waterproofing cover that you would buy for a normal bed. Also consider that your lubricants are very important, and it's up to your personal preference on what you would want to have. Like we said, also keep in mind the client's health when it comes to your lubricants as well. So like we said, water-based lubricants such as Lotion can evaporate and make our clients cool. The oils will clog the pores and keep our clients warm. Lotions are easier to clean, and oils are not. Oils are derived from tree nuts, which usually have more prone for allergenic reactions, while lotion isn't. Then we also have creams and body butters. Creams and body butters are very thick, so keep them stored at a cool temperature so they don't melt. Make sure that all of our lotions and lubricants are stored in a contaminant-free dispenser. Make sure that when they're placed in something, it's a contaminant-free dispenser as well. Like we said, with our creams and body butters, you can use a spoon to scoop it out and dispense from. Make sure that if we're going to use essential oils, we read up and understand essential oils. Make sure you understand any allergic reactions to your essential oils. Make sure you dilute any topical application of essential oils with a carrier oil before you apply it to your client's body. Make sure you have your permission before you diffuse an aromatic essential oil into the air, which, with that said, it's also probably the best interest if you have back-to-back clients to have a separate room set up to take the next client into, so they don't come into a room that's all stinky, right? So consider that as well. Make sure that the essential oils are stored in glass jars to not eat away at the plastic. And then when it comes down to the massage room, like we said, the minimum standard to us is a 9 by 12, but ideally we want a 12 by 12 dimension of a room. Some things to consider having in there is, one, a chair for your clients, having a side table or dresser for your client to place belongings on, as well as you to store items in. Make sure that there's hooks for your clients to hang their clothing on. Opt to maybe have another little cabinet where you can store linens and towels and other things of that nature. Also, a shelf to store other little knickknacks such as a sound machine and things of that nature. Also consider the temperature of your room. Forgot to mention that. So the golden temperature, the ideal standard of a massage room, is 72 degrees. Now again, this could be in a wide range, but that's usually the pinpoint standard number right there. Sometimes it ranges between 68 to 75 degrees. 72 is usually the pretty standard there, but 68 degrees is pretty darn cold, especially if you're using lotion on that client. So make sure you consider that as well. Also consider that your facility, your treatment room, is barrier-free. There's clear paths from the doorway to the chair that the client's going to sit on, and then from the chair that the client's sitting on to the massage table itself are free of obstructions, and your client can traverse the room safely. Make sure on the door that you use those leather frame handles and all that good stuff. So, all right, guys, go ahead and do those questions based off of the video here, and then I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.